Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our second annual Hoboken Field of Heroes dedication ceremony. This event is sponsored by the student government, and we would like to welcome the City of Hoboken Honor Guard that is with us today. And to lead us off in our presentation, we would like to call up Isabella Ciosi, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Isabella. At this time, I would like to call up our Master of Ceremonies for today, Junior Daniel Weinthraub, the Student Government Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz. To begin today, I'd like to introduce the Hoboken High School Band, the Rockin' Red Wings, who will play the Star Spangled Banner. And now for a welcoming address, I'd like to invite the Hoboken High School Student Government Vice President, Alexa Bracero.
Good morning, and welcome to the second annual Hoboken Field of Heroes celebration. Thank you all for coming this morning. My name is Alexa Bracero, and I'm the Vice President of the Hoboken High School Student Government. The Hoboken Field of Heroes was created to celebrate the men and women of Hoboken, honoring and memorializing their service and sacrifice in the United States Armed Forces. The Hoboken High School Student Government is a representative and government body of the students of Hoboken High School. As Vice President of this government, along with my fellow officers, I can say that the students of Hoboken High School are committed to honoring and remembering these Hoboken heroes. This ceremony and this field is just one way we, the students, want to say thank you. We will strive to follow your example and call to your service. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexa. We will now hear a speech from Glenn Gallipon, a senior at Hoboken High School, entitled Our Field.
For generations, millions of Americans have answered the call to serve, taking the sacred oath to defend and preserve our nation's ideals and liberty and democracy. These patriots represent the best of us. On Veterans Day, we honor their service, dedication, and valor, and are forever grateful for their sacrifice. So many of our veterans carry the scars from their service, both visible and invisible, and it is our nation's responsibility to help them heal. Fulfilling our nation's promise to our veterans and military families, caregivers, and survivors is not only a moral imperative, it is crucial to our national security and to maintaining the finest military the world has ever known. We are the nation that keeps our promises. On Veterans Day, we honor our nation's veterans who have given so much to protect our freedoms and the freedom of others around the globe. They represent the highest ideals of our country. While we can never fully repay the debt we owe these heroes, we will honor their service and provide them with the care and support that they deserve. We salute and show gratitude for all who ensure our armed forces remain strong, united, and unmatched. In respect and recognition of the contributions our veterans and their families, caregivers, and survivors have made to the cause of peace and freedom around the world, we, the Hoboken High School student government, are honored to dedicate this field today. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Now, would everyone please welcome Gina Cruz to begin reading the names of the honorees.
Robert J. Adams, U.S. Marines. George Angley, U.S. Army. Don E. Ball, U.S. Air Force. Rodney Ball, U.S. Air Force. J. Bigham, U.S. Air Force. Frank Buffalo, U.S. Navy. Edgar Lee Casper, U.S. Armed Forces. Joseph Cayo II, U.S. Navy. Greg Conati, U.S. Navy. Aldo Di Pinto, unknown. John DeMare, U.S. Army. Ralph DeGeo, U.S. Army. Robert A. Dodd, U.S. Armed Forces. Caroline Dunworth Griffin, U.S. Armed Forces. Gerald J. Dunworth, Jr., U.S. Armed Forces. Gerald J. Dunworth, Sr., U.S. Armed Forces. Catherine Dunworth, U.S. Armed Forces. Francisco Duroy, U.S. Army Military Police. Joseph D. Dorhan, U.S. Army Air Corps. Joseph M. Dorhan, U.S. Army.
James C. Drungle, U.S. Armed Forces. Michael J. Drungle, U.S. Armed Forces. John Elvin, U.S. Navy. Keith Elvin, U.S. Navy. Joseph Genuardi, Aleutian Islands Navy. Felix Gonzalez, U.S. Army. George E. Gregory, U.S. Marines. Frank Gullo, U.S. Marines. Garaham Hedden, U.S. Army. Scott Howard, U.S. Marines. Carl Nsinga, U.S. Armed Forces. Howard Ivins, U.S. National Guard. Frederick Pumna, U.S. Marines. John D. Lewis, U.S. Army. Thomas Lakowski Jr., U.S. Navy. Thomas Lakowski Sr., U.S. Army. Dominic Lisa, U.S. Army. Joseph B. Lisa, U.S. Armed Forces. Leroy J. Lowing, U.S. Army.
Leroy Lowing, U.S. Army. Apollo Luce, U.S. Army. Douglas Luce, U.S. Army. Joseph A. Loshivo, U.S. Army. Ben Leenham, U.S. Army. U.S. Marines. Catherine McCulley, U.S. Women's Armed Corps. Paul V. McCulley, USSR. Paul V. McCulley Jr., U.S. Army. H.B. Miller, U.S. Armed Forces. Felix Morit, U.S. Army. Jay Morit, U.S. Air Force. Michael Morit, U.S. Air Force. John Motzkai, U.S. Army. Robert J. Munoz, U.S. Army. Carmelo Ortiz, U.S. Army. Juan Ortiz, U.S. Navy. Michael Pasili, U.S. Armed Forces. Michael De Palma, U.S. Armed Forces. Ron Petz, U.S. Navy. Armico Robo, U.S. Army.
Raymond Santana, U.S. Armed Forces. John Simmons, U.S. Armed Forces. Louis Michael Taglieri Jr., U.S. Air Force. Stephen Takirian, U.S. Army. Angelo Totaro, U.S. Army. Benedict Versace, U.S. Marines. Joseph Versace, U.S. Army. U.S. Armed Forces, U.S. Armed Forces. Louis Vitolo, U.S. Armed Forces. Dominic Vitolo, U.S. Armed Forces. Van Walk, U.S. Navy. Richard Weigand, U.S. Air Force. Captain Ryan Wiltbank, U.S. Army. To all of the deceased Hoboken Education Association members who served. To all of the retired Hoboken Education Association members who served. To all of the current Hoboken Education Association members who served. To all of our fallen Red Wings. To all World War I veterans of Hoboken. To all World War II veterans of Hoboken. To all Korean War veterans of Hoboken. To all Vietnam veterans of Hoboken. To all Persian Gulf War veterans of Hoboken. To all Operation Enduring Freedom veterans of Hoboken. To all Operation Iraqi Freedom veterans of Hoboken. To all members of the Hoboken Elks Lodge 74 that served. To all the members of Hoboken American Legion Post 107.
Thank you to all of our readers, and thank you to everyone that they listed. Now, if everyone will please turn their attention back to the Rockin' Red Wings for another musical selection. Thank you, Rockin' Red Wings. Now I'd like to welcome Naomi Cooke for a poem entitled In Flanders Field.
In Flanders Field is a poem written during the First World War by Canadian physician Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. He was inspired to write it on May 3, 1915, after presiding over the funeral of a friend and fellow soldier Lieutenant Alexis Helmler, who died in the Second Battle of Ypres. According to legend, fellow soldiers retrieved the poem after McCrae, initially dissatisfied with his work, then discarded it. In Flanders Fields was first published in 1915. Flanders Fields is a common English name in the World War I battlefields in Belgium and France. It is one of the most quoted poems from the war. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high, if ye break faith with us who die. We shall not sleep though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
Thank you, Naomi. At this time, I'd like to turn the podium over to Mr. Munoz for a special presentation.
Thank you, Daniel. You've done such a great job. So as you know, this past month, we renamed our beloved stadium Louis M. Taglieri Memorial Stadium. It was a very fitting honor for a great man. And he was one of us, and he was a Red Wing, and we miss him. So that night, Brianna Montague, a senior, actually made something, and in all the hustle and bustle of the evening, it was left in my classroom. So we knew we were going to have this, so we wanted to present it to Miss Gabby Taglieri today. It's just a small token from the cheerleaders that they did for Coach Tag. So Brianna, if you could come over. All right, so we would like to present it to you, Ms. Tags, and thank you. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Ms. Pick for our closing remarks. So thank you, Ms. Pick.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning. I wasn't planning on speaking, so this is going to kind of be off the cuff, but, you know, hearing America the Beautiful, we don't hear that song a lot, and in elementary school we had to sing it every day, and it's such a beautiful song. Really resonated with me, but more so, all the men and women in Hoboken, throughout this country who have served so we could be here today, right? The freedoms we receive from their sacrifices is what lets us all be here today and be able to honor great people like those who served. I didn't realize, you know, my father was a Marine Corps, my uncle was 20 years in the Army, Korean War, Vietnam War. So, and I had a cousin who served in the Vietnam War. Thank God all came home healthy. But we are so blessed to have heroes, people who are willing to step up and protect the freedoms we have here today. So from my heart, I'm grateful to Mr. Munoz and the Student Council and the Rockin' Red Wings for having this 40-minute ceremony to just remember people who have given so much, including myself. I'm so blessed to be here and be at this podium. So thank you for doing these things and helping us remember and recognize everything we have due to the great service of men and women. So thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Fick. Just to close us out, just a couple of thank yous. We'd like to thank the Honor Guard from Hoboken for being here. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'd like to thank Mr. Stasiak and the Rockin' Red Wings. Mr. Stasiak, I apologize for texting you so early this morning, but thank you for that. We'd like to thank our superintendent, our assistant superintendent, and the Board of Education for all their support. The Hoboken High School administration. We would like to thank Mr. McCauley for capturing this for us. All of these students who spent so much time putting this together and worked tirelessly for our veterans. Thank you so much. You guys are an inspiration to me and to everyone in this city. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you, Brianna, for bringing that for Coach Tags. I appreciate it. Where's Kai? Kai Hultstrom, give it up for Kai, because Kai was the one that made sure that we got all of the letters together, all of the forms, and Kai really keeps us all. Kai's the glue that holds the government together. All right. So thank you, Kai, and all of our speakers, and also, we want to thank Hoboken House Lodge 74 for being here today. Thank you so much for everything that you do for the community, and we look forward to many future collaborations with you. Okay, so thank you, everyone, and happy Veterans Day. Remember veterans this week especially, and we will see you next year at our 3rd annual. Thank you.